If you're sailing with Virgin Voyages and you're at port at Bimini, Bahamas wondering, what the heck should I do while I'm here? What are all of my options beyond just the beach club? In this video, I'm walking you through all the different things that you can do so that you can pick the right adventure for your most epic vacation coming up. And if you're new here, yo, I'm Lozada with Where in the World to Sail. I make travel videos every week to help you get up, jet, and go travel. This video is part of a Virgin Voyages crash course. I want to be here with you every single step of the way so that you can have the best time possible. I'm here creating helpful content for you, and my travel agent is here getting you the best deal possible. So book with us. Can I tell you something really honest? This triple net is really uncomfortable. Let's start by understanding where the Virgin Voyages free tram or shuttle stops at, because this drives what the majority of people will do when they're at port at Bimini, Bahamas. They will pick you up from the port, just a few steps right off of the ship, and the first stop you go to is Fisherman's Village. This is your spot for shore things, your excursions, they all pick up over here. And then you have actual Fisherman's Village. Occasionally it will stop at the Hilton Casino. It varies every time I've been on the tram, but generally the next stop is just straight to the beach club. So always Fisherman's Village, always the beach club. These are the two main stops that the tram will take you to. Fisherman's Village, cruise around, and I was genuinely curious, is it actually interesting and worth stopping at? So let's talk about that. Fisherman's Village is a spot that has kind of weird hours. There are a couple shops there and a couple restaurants there. If you're someone who loves to get the trinkets, you should probably stop in, but if you're someone like me who likes to take photos and likes a lot of memories but not a lot of things, it's not really a spot to go to. If you're going, again, go earlier, not later, because it can oftentimes completely close shop and be totally dead here. The next thing to know about Fisherman's Village is this is where you stop if you want to get a golf cart. This is a very popular thing to do, and in my opinion, I think it is negotiable. Can you negotiate and get a better price? Probably. I've seen people do it, but it depends on your negotiating skills. But generally people will pick up a golf cart and then just cruise around the island. And it's helpful to know, oh my gosh, this hurts. It's helpful to know that you are driving on the other side. You're not driving on the normal US side, you're driving on the opposite side. I mean, it's a tiny island, you'll be just fine, but it's helpful to know that in advance. So you're probably wondering, if you get the golf cart, like where is there to actually go? And again, don't forget, it's only 7 miles, right? It's really small. So a lot of people will just cruise around, they'll go down obviously to all the way to the end, it's pretty down there. There's also a Kong shack. There's like a couple places where you can eat and drink at, I guess, like little local spots. It's not the most interesting thing to do in the world, which is why the guys who sell you the golf cart will always advertise it as like, you can drink and drive here, because a lot of people will like get some drinks and then cruise around in the golf cart. So aside from Fisherman's Village and aside from grabbing a golf cart, the other main place that people go to is the casino. And especially if it's a rainy day, and obviously if you like to gamble, going over there is an option. Most people who like to gamble have told me it's underwhelming. I have checked it out before and just kind of walked around the Hilton property, but no, it's all right. It's something to do, especially if you want to get off of the ship. They do have a bar and a restaurant over there as well, so that's an option that's available to you. Let's talk about these next set of options, which I'm going to get excited about because it's about getting in or on the water. And you have a couple options here based off of your preference of getting in the water, or maybe you don't want to get wet, depending on the weather and time of year. More info on that is at the end of this video. There are lots of options to get in the water here. One of the most popular places to get into the water is at the shipwreck. Taking a tour or an excursion, you're headed over to the shipwreck, and whether you're snorkeling or you're scuba diving and diving in, this is a place that a lot of people go to. The next one would be getting in the water with the stingrays. And these are ones where you're at a shallow sandbar hanging out with the stingrays. And the other option is what I did today, which is scuba diving. And so Bimini is known for having some really amazing hammerhead scuba dives. But today I just did the regular 2-tank scuba dive. It was really beautiful. We were actually right next to the ship, and I really enjoyed scuba diving on this island. Obviously, don't forget, you need to be an actual certified scuba diver to be able to do that. And I carried all my own gear on board, which was a pain, but you can rent the gear as well. The other way you can get in the water is with the dolphins. You can go swim with the dolphins and boat with them. them, that's another amazing option to get in the water. If you don't want to get in the water, but you want to get on the water, there's plenty of options for boating. Whether you want something more relaxing, today's a perfect day to get onto a pontoon, for example. So they have little party boats where you just go for a short while, less than 2 hours even, and just have some drinks and enjoy the views. There's two other ways that you can get onto the water without getting into the water, and that's on your first stop at Fisherman's Village. It's also, again, like I said, where the shore things pick up. This is the spot where kayak rental or jet ski rental, these are your options over there. People are booking these things through shore excursions, so book them in advance and then take the shuttle over there. These are two more ways to enjoy being on the water. Another one, and I was looking up, like, what is Bimini known for? And it's actually known as the sport fishing capital of the world. And so big game fishing is another option here. If you like to fish, you should totally consider getting on a chartered boat and doing some fishing out here. Hey, don't forget, if you're getting some value out of this video, choose that like button, consider subscribing, and we're all a community. If you have a helpful tip, add it in the comments below so that we can all help each other. I discover new things all the time on Virgin Voyages and at port because of you guys. And don't forget, this is part of a crash course, so there's a whole playlist. And also, I want you to book with us. Be a smart traveler, and it only takes 1 minute to price compare, so make sure you check the info in the description. All right, it's too windy up there. Let's go outside and talk about a few more helpful things to know. All right, so there's two more things that you can do. One of them is around a heritage and cultural tour. So if you want to taste some of the local food, if you want to cruise around on a guided tour to learn about things like Hemingway's presence on this island and how he did a lot of his books and writing as a result of this. If you want to go to the different museums that are around, for example, going on something like that. And another one is, I mean, don't forget there's an entire video about the beach clubs, but the Crew Beach, I mean, it's not called Crew Beach, but the beach that's just right in front of the port, actually really nice and has really calm water and is an easy walk out there, or you can tell the tram to stop and let you off or pick you up right there if you don't want to do the short walk back. All right, now that you have your lineup of the things that you can choose from and things that you can do on Bimini Island, now let's talk about some important things to know, namely how to get around, what the weather and water temperature is like so you know what to expect, and also if I'm honest, a caveat to everything I've said, because you're probably wondering, oh, do I have to book through Virgin Voyages for my excursions? Can I do them separately, etc., etc.? So let's talk about that. So for getting around, we have already talked about the option for the free tram that's available through Virgin Voyages. The other ways to get around, there's a couple. One, the golf carts that we talked about. Two, yes, you can walk. It depends on the weather. Some people try to walk and it's just too hot. Any amount of walking, whether 10 steps or 10,000 steps, will absolutely suck depending on how hot it is outside. But walking is an option. There are sidewalks and such that you can walk on. The next one is there are scooters around, which I've never seen anyone use them, but I'm not talking about like motorcycle scooters. I'm talking about like Bird scooters or Uber. What are they called? Lime? They look like Razor scooters, but they're electric.
Breaking my face on vacation is not the route I'm trying to go down.
And the last way to get around is what I use today, which is taxi. So generally taxis cost $5 per person. So if you have 4 people in your group, that's a $20 ride, not a $5 ride. It's a per person thing. And so I took the taxi today, for example, when I went over to my scuba dive, and it cost me $5. All right, now that we have helped you to plan and know what to expect, let's talk about
a caveat.
And that's that sometimes, depending on the weather, depending on just how things are going with your sailing, your itinerary might have to change. And so that means maybe you're supposed to be at Bimini on a specific day. It might change to a different day. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. This is my 14th sailing. This has happened to me more than once. It hasn't happened 14 times, but knowing that this is a possibility is just something to be aware of. Why? Because if you book your tours through, so for example, I took a chance. I booked mine directly with the tour company because Virgin Voyages wasn't offering in Shore Things the option to go scuba diving on this sailing. They've offered it in the past, and that's another helpful caveat, is that the list of Shore Things, the list of excursions that are available vary by the sailing. It just depends on when you're on board and what the tour operators, what kind of availability they have. That will determine what shows up in your Shore Things. things. And so just knowing things can change, and if you're listening to this being like, oh my gosh, like, well, what am I supposed to do? It's always safest to book your excursions directly through the cruise line, whether Virgin Voyages or anyone else, because if they have changes, they will make sure to make it right. Whereas if you booked it, for example, if I booked today my scuba dive that I went on and something happened, we were late to port or something like that, they're not going to be okay with that. I would lose out on that. That tour is not trying to make sure I'm getting back to the ship on time. So these are just things to be aware of. You're going to be fine. Keep an eye on the weather, and that will help you to determine what's the right step for you. I'm Christine Lozada. Be a smart traveler. Book with us. We'll get you the best deal out there, and it only takes a minute to price compare. All of that info is in the show notes below. I'm so excited for you to come here. Bimini is one of my favorite ports with Virgin Voyages. Obviously, go to the beach club. It's rad over there. You can check out that video in the next portion of this crash course, and I'm headed out to go film the next video, so I'll see you over there. Ciao.